Bitcoin prices will skyrocket if the ISM reaches its usual cycle peak, which typically falls between 506 and 65. We don't know exactly how high the ISM will go this cycle, but if it crosses $600 a cent, we're talking about really high prices. More than $300,000, 0 cents, or more, if you take advantage of the many fantastic trading opportunities that will arise as a result of this. Millions of dollars could be yours if you focus on XRP, which is predicted to perform better than nearly every digital asset in the top 100 at the moment. With that being said, you all need be sure to listen until the very end because I'm about to share some seriously awesome tips with you on how to make the most of this. With that out of the way, let's hear what Ralph Pal has to say. He has a ton of cool new stuff to share with us today. Hit that like button so everyone can see it. After that, watch the movie. I'm saying that 35% of pullbacks are, "Oh my God, my portfolio is down 80% is the usual response. You should only own a handful of smaller tokens in your portfolio according to the don't fuck up idea. However, you're not doing that. Here is a 10-week chart that Julian and I developed showing the global M2 in USD. Just before Bitcoin, we weren't sure if the market would follow this pattern. In 2017, during the last Trump cycle, global M2 followed a similar pattern, and the result was that crypto fell 35% in a week before slowly rising again with chop. I wasn't sure if this would be the complete sell-off or if it would just remain just like that. We experienced a sideways movement before a sell-off. Everything is unfolding according to plan for global M2. Last year, the dollar strengthened in anticipation of Trump's inauguration, and interest rates spiked in anticipation of tariffs, making it more difficult for borrowers to secure loans. That is now being played. Changes, look at the chart ahead of time. There will be a period of chop. That's where we'll find the lows. I'll explain it more shortly. After that, there will be more chop, but don't worry, we'll start to go up the other side soon. Shifts occur when prices drop because there isn't enough variation to Bitcoin's 3-month rate of change is dependent on the economy's 3-month rate of change, which is 3 months in advance. It's obvious that last year's dollar and interest rates made banking more difficult, but Bitcoin is now fully stable. Given that this is the current pricing point, could it potentially oscillate between the low and high points until it begins to represent the improvement in the economy? Since both charts are interdependent, you might see some similarities between them in the global M2 chart. Here's an alternative way to look at it. The following image is getting a lot of attention because it demonstrates that. Bad economic news is starting to trickle out, and the dollar was a major factor in last year's downturn, so naturally, everyone is hoping for a dollar decline. The Chinese government is actively working to devalue the dollar so that their economy can expand. They need the dollar to decline so they can pay off their massive debts denominated in dollars. Charges for shipping items overseas. The U.S. economy has been steadily declining since last year's dollar changes, and the world economy would benefit from a weaker currency. But before we get into that, let's examine how the U.S. economy has been faring recently. We still believe that things will improve financially in the future, so it's a strong argument in our favor. There won't be a slump, as that wouldn't make sense. The economy will temporarily worsen before improving. Overall, this is good news for us. Concerns about slower growth have been circulating in tech markets recently. However, when we go ahead using analysis, we can see that growth is just around the corner. If we compare this to the situation in 2017 when Trump took office, we see many similarities. The economic shocks came crashing down as a result of the dollar's strength prior to Trump's inauguration. Even though the Federal Reserve was increasing interest rates, the world's finances are still in a precarious position. Who controls them? The United States, China, Europe, or perhaps all of them. And the dollar's precipitous depreciation has set off a massive crypto and risk cycle. It is evident that the dollar-yen is experiencing significant fluctuations in value due to the weakening dollar. This is because the euro-dollar system is anchored by Japanese banks, which lend dollars to the global economy. As a result, the yen acts as a conduit into China, allowing China to settle its dollar debts. To aid the real estate market and other parts of the non-performing loan market that have gone bankrupt, China can either weaken its current policies or boost them more strongly. Anyhow, that's all there is to it. The dollar is very similar now to when Trump said that the dollar would. Scott Besson, they have previously discussed the topic and they have addressed the long-term interest rates. Their goal is to implement tariffs, and they plan to do it by using the dollar as a trading chip with China, Europe, Canada, and Mexico. In exchange, they hope to weaken the dollar, which benefits all parties involved, that the global economy ought to be robust, allowing us to go collectively. Your bills and company loans will become less expensive, which means that everyone will have more money. This is good for the economy, and it's all coming up, including the rear end of rates, which includes rates for 10 years and other things. It's crystal evident that's their 2017 goal. With same leadership and price strategies, global M2 also went through a similar cycle. The dollar's movement mirrored that of the markets once more. I don't expect these to be flawless, but I do anticipate that they will begin to occur again. M2 will continue to rise throughout the year, assuming this holds true, which this year, cryptocurrency and other risky investments, such as IT, will thrive. Another way to look at global M2 is that it goes through cycles, where it binds together certain periods, crypto winter and crypto spring, to mention a few. When spring gives way to summer, M2 breaks out again, but this time it returns to testing. Then the cycle ends in September. When that retest takes place, the first step of the banana zone correction often begins. During the first 2 months in the banana zone, in October and November, we began making modifications, and we continue making improvements until we take off again. Since it is the sole issue, it is rational. The business cycle is currently in full swing. Here we have it. The business cycle is triggered by changes in money liquidity and similar factors. However, when money becomes easier to come by, businesses operate as usual. If the ISM number is above 50, it indicates that the economy is starting to grow, and now it's growing